reviewed a lot of movies about a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Tennis shoes,
Um,
spies,
video games,
archaeologists.
men who shrink, men
I
who grow. Um,
I think this is the first one that we have actually reviewed together about food.
yeah, I'm trying to remember, and I can't think of any. At least where food is the primary driving force. I can think of a lot where humans are used as food.
I don't think that
I don't
counts.
think it does. So the menu doesn't count.
Well,
I've never seen the menu.
yeah, I was gonna say that's a moot point, but
What about
that one would be kind of yeah.
what about Soylent Green?
I mean, technically, it is about food.
Yeah,
I'm thinking more about food that you want to eat,
yeah,
not food that you're forced to eat by the government.
that's true. All right, fair enough.
So tell me, when you think about movies about food, what comes up for you?
You know, the first one that comes to mind is Soul Food.
Okay,
Like that's just the first one that, and which is interesting because I don't think I've ever seen that movie from the beginning.
isn't one of those you'd catch on HBO?
Yes, and
Yeah.
it's weird. Those of you who have been brought up in the streaming era know nothing about this. But for those of us who grew up with cable, you watched the movies when they were on the TV. And I'm sure I'm not the only person who had the experience of always catching a movie at the exact same point.
Yes.
Like, and Soul Food was one of those. I've only seen like the ending of it where the little kid goes around to all his aunts and uncles and all this and cons them all into coming to one big meal, one last big meal at Big Mama's house, and that's where all of their issues are resolved. Other than that, I have no idea about the rest of the movie, but I remember that film just because of all the wonderful things they were cooking, and it really did make you hungry. You're like, oh man, yeah.
Well, one that I think of is Good Burger.
Okay,
So I don't know necessarily that it makes you want to eat a burger, but it is very centered around the
it
food.
is.
Now we rewatched that not long ago, and as far as a teen Nickelodeon movie, it actually holds up fairly well. Like nothing too problematic in that we really saw.
Just the comedy,
Well,
but
uh,
but
uh,
yeah, nothing. Yeah. Now, what about movies that make you hungry?
well, okay, Julie and Julia.
Okay.
Julie and Julia makes me hungry, but also I don't want to do the level of cooking that she does all the
Mm,
time. Like I'm good for a meal like that a couple times a year, and I cook
yeah.
pretty regularly. But
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I'm talking about like that from scratch,
Mm.
like make the broth on where it like that's Thanksgiving and that's about it.
Have you ever? This is gonna sound bad. Have you ever had one of those movies that shouldn't make you hungry but does? Like,
Like, boy, they sure are barbecuing that human being very
kind of.
well.
I remember after my parents and I went and saw Finding Nemo, we came out of
Oh,
it going, "Anybody else hungry for fish?"
oh my
Like, and
gosh.
seriously, we were hungry for fish.
Oh my
Or like,
gosh.
or Forrest Gump. Like, what do you think half the world went and ate after they saw Forrest Gump for the first time?
Well, shrimp. Oh,
Shrimp.
yeah, shrimp.
Yeah,
Um, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory both make me want to eat chocolate.
that's yeah. Okay, fair.
That
Mhm.
make you want to get some chocolate. But something like, did you ever? There was a food movie in the late '90s starring Sarah Michelle Gellar called Simply Irresistible.
Oh, I remember that. Isn't it like
Her emotions go into the food, I
yeah?
think.
Isn't she like pardon me if I misuse the term, but isn't she a witch?
Well, some kind of magical there's some kind of magical charm going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I ever saw it, but that it's I remember it. It's very 90s, and that's
Yes.
I kind of want to rewatch that.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was any good or not.
I don't I don't know. It's so hard to tell with films from that era if they are good or if you're just nostalgic. We're at that point.
Yeah. And you are talking to the person who saw The Wedding Planner in the theater 3
That's
times.
true.
Um, but also like that was the movie Chocolat. Did you ever watch Chocolat?
Oh, Chocolat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where she's not
Well, it's
necessarily,
not her. It's who's in that one. Johnny Depp was in that one, wasn't he?
and oh gosh, who was the female? It'll come to me. Um, but yeah, where she is solving the problems of the people
Okay.
in the village with her. Is it Julie Binoche?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, Juliette Binoche. Who and Alfred Molina's in that one too. I forgot he was in that one. Lena Olin.
Hmm.
So yeah, that one was. I thought that one was really good.
Okay.
Chocolat. We should rewatch that one actually,
Yeah. We should do that in Simply Irresistible.
and do a little
I
food double
Yeah,
feature.
I wanna know if it's actually any good or not. It's kind of like the restaurant.
uh, oh yeah, I'm trying to think. Like it's hard when you get put on the spot, and then you think like,
Yeah.
oh, what about food movies that totally made you not want to eat the food?
Well, this isn't a food movie, but I wonder how many other people out there had the experience after seeing Spaceballs and seeing Pizza the Hut
Oh yeah,
of being completely put off of pizza.
which is a big deal for
It
you.
was. It wasn't until the Ninja Turtles came along a few years later that I finally got my lust for pizza back. But yeah, like I remember that one completely turning my stomach.
Oh gosh. Um. Oh, I just thought of another food one that was good. Was Waitress. Did you ever watch
I did
Waitress?
not watch Waitress.
We should put that on the list for you to watch. Which of course they turned that into a musical.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah,
Um,
I know it's a musical. I've
but
heard the musical.
Waitress, the movie was really good too because it made you want to eat pie.
Okay.
But also had a really good storyline. Nathan Fillion's in that.
Oh,
So about a woman who is dealing with an abusive partner. So and he actually plays the good guy in it. So
okay.
yeah. Um, oh, and another one that is made a couple of our lists actually is Butter.
Butter, yeah. Which does that count?
I don't know. Does
Because
that?
it's not a cooking movie. It's about something you use to cook, but it's not being used in the in, for that purpose.
No, it's about
So
butter carving. So does that count as a food movie?
I don't know. Some of these ones go into you made the argument that Air should be a sports movie
True.
because it's it's about Michael Jordan, but there are no sports in it. So I don't know. That's the same with Butter. Is Butter a food movie, even though it does not use the food for cooking purposes?
I don't know.
Okay, I know one. I know one you love that we've already had a discussion about recently. What about Ratatouille?
Okay, I
That's
do.
all
That
about
one does make
cooking.
me hungry.
Yeah.
Like I definitely made ratatouille after I watched Ratatouille. Because it is about like discovering flavors and figuring
Mm,
things out. I like that one. Um, now there's a couple I haven't watched. I wonder if you have. The Big Night. Did you ever watch The Big
no,
Night?
no, no.
Okay.
This doesn't sound familiar.
What about the 100 Foot Journey?
Nope.
Okay, so never mind. We won't talk about those two then.
There's a bunch on the Hallmark Mystery Channel, like the Gourmet Detective, and those
Yes.
things. But I've seen one or two of those. They're Hallmark mystery movies. I don't know what you really expect from
So
them.
I'm gonna pull from the 2008 kind of quirky movie roster. There's a Brittany Murphy movie called Ramen Girl,
That one I think I've seen.
where she ends up in Tokyo, I think. She ends up in somewhere in Asia. I'm trying to remember. It's been probably a decade since I watched this movie. She ends up somewhere in Asia, and I believe she gets dumped. And she wanders into this noodle restaurant, and she eventually convinces the guy to help her learn how to cook ramen. Which, if is a true ramen chef in Japan, like I believe it takes like 10 years to,
Anything in
yeah.
Japan takes at least a decade to become a master. The smallest thing that we do, like the Japanese, will take a decade to master it. You know,
Yeah, that's a Brittany Murphy, and Brittany Murphy, who did not get a long career, but was honestly a pretty good actress for her zone. Like for what she did it well. So yeah,
oh, you know which one
that was
there
a good
is.
one.
You know, here's another one. It had a pretty star-spangled cast, and it's odd that it doesn't get talked about. It's called Chef. Had
Okay,
John Favreau, Scarlett
right.
Johansson, John Leguizamo. Like it had
Yes.
a pretty extensive cast.
Yes, that was the food truck one, right?
Yeah,
Right, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I totally believe Favreau as a chef.
yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Like he's just got that feeling.
I always, not a movie, but after watch if you watch Bob's Burgers enough, I want a burger.
Yeah, especially his specials of the day. There's several I want to try. I actually have a Bob's Burger cookbook.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we might
oh,
have to break that out.
all right,
Talked about the cheesy Hallmark movies.
yeah.
There's one that I love and I watch about once a year. I'm gonna try to remember the name of it. But basically the concept is I want to say it's called Pumpkin Pie Wars.
Okay.
And it's this cooking competition, and the two families used to be friends, but then they stopped being friends because of this cooking
Of
competition.
course they did.
And so like the children are now have to be the ones who compete. They're adults now when they have to be the ones that compete in the cooking competition. And of course they end up in a
Of
romantic.
what?
Yes. So yeah, it's totally
Actually,
cheesy.
another one I remember, kind of along the same lines. We watched this one last year about the woman who ran the candy cane
Oh
factory,
my gosh, the candy cane. Jodie Sweetin's in that
and she's
one.
like, her candy cane factory is going under because surprise, surprise, you don't sell any candy canes any month except December,
Right.
and yet she has these huge offices. It's like
Yes.
where are all these people employed? What? Why do you need this big of a marketing department for candy canes?
But then they start making some kind of cookie or something,
Yeah,
right?
they start making like seasonal candy canes. But what I didn't
Uh,
get about that one more than anything is like, of course, you have to get the big order done to save the factory, and they have to have it done by Christmas.
of course.
Who the hell is buying candy canes the day of Christmas?
Yeah.
What big order are you stocking the shelves with on Christmas Day?
If you can't tell, we have had this conversation before. Um, so there's a couple of older movies. There's one, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman,
I remember that one. Yeah,
and Tortilla Soup. Tortilla Soup was really
Eat
good.
Drink Man Woman. I saw that one. I believe that's a Japanese one, isn't it? Or French?
Yeah.
I saw that one in high school
Uh
in
huh.
my motion picture class, and what I remember the most about it was Old Wen.
Okay.
Old Wen was the chef in the like the master chef, and they bring him in, and they're like, "Hooray for Old Wen!" It was like a party for him. I don't know if it was his birthday or his retirement or whatever. He's like, "Hooray for Old Wen!" And Old Wen kind of and he like sits down and like, "Old Wen, Old Wen," and then like you see
He's
them,
dead.
they see the no, that gets better. You see the next shot is like an ambulance taking him away, and you don't, and we're all like, "What? What just happened to Old Wen?" And they go through the whole rest of this movie, and just all of a sudden, Old Wen is back.
Oh.
He's coming back into the restaurant, and they're all like, "Hooray! Old Wen is back!" Old Wen sits down, and they're like, "Old Wen?" Old Wen, and now Old Wen is dead. Like
Oh my
that was
gosh.
the only thing any of us remembered from we left going, Old Wen? Old Wen?
Oh. There's a couple of documentaries that are really good about
Oh,
food.
you want to talk about our new one of our favorite shows?
Oh
The
gosh.
Food Wars.
No, oh, what is the name? It's not the Food Wars.
No, the
It's
food that shaped
or
America.
the food that built
The food that
America.
built America.
Oh my
It's one of
gosh.
those two.
It's amazing because you're talking about all of these competitive things like okay, so it's like I want to say it was Wrigley's and Beech Nut were the
Yeah.
two gum companies
Mm-hmm.
and trying to compete to see which one's going to like take off more and like the drama that they put into these.
To
It
do the
is oh
reenactments.
my gosh,
The
it is
reenactments and the voiceover guy.
it is crazy. There is so much high stakes drama going on in these food
And like
competitions.
we I think the first one we watched was the one on Oreos.
Yeah.
And oh my god,
Mm,
the things that led to the discovery and marketing of Oreos, it makes the way they frame it makes Game of Thrones and Succession look like
mm.
a kindergarten playground spat. I mean, they are just apparently there was more backstabbing and betrayal. It's like, oh
Oh
my
my
god,
gosh.
now I feel guilty for loving these Oreos.
Oh my gosh. Then there's the way that they they laid out how they came up with the Nabisco name.
Yeah,
And it's like out on this whiteboard and it's written out National Biscuit Company. Bisco. And it's like, oh my gosh. I just yeah,
but
the
again, the way they
trauma.
did it was just like, nah, bis. So like Lex Luthor naming his Superman death machine. It's
Exactly.
like, what the hell?
Uh
Okay, so
There's a documentary called Fed Up that is one of my favorite documentaries about food, about the sugar industry. So if you're ever looking for something that definitely makes you not want to eat any sugar, watch Fed Up. And then there's some there was a series on documentary. There was a documentary series on Netflix called some salt, sugar, fat, heat, I think. Um, and they kind of went all over the world looking for these different flavors. And man, if there's like something about watching people in Italy shave pieces of aged Parmesan that just makes your mouth water,
mm,
you know?
uh, okay, so since the movie we're going to be talking about is about chips and whatnot and snack food, before we go to break and come back to actually talk about the movie, what's your favorite snack chip? I know we live with several snack chip connoisseurs.
You know, that's a tough question. I don't know if I've really thought about what my favorite snack chip is as opposed to what's left over after the
Yeah,
girls
exactly.
have eaten their snack
When
chips.
I go to get like if we're gonna have hot dogs and chips for dinner, I
Okay.
hide the chips
Yeah,
because if they see them,
they will eat them.
they will just claim the bag. Like CJ will just claim the bag, and you're like, we were all that okay. That was for everybody, but I guess that's CJ's bag now.
um, so what is your go-to?
I tend to like Doritos or sour cream and onion potato chips, which is
Okay.
bizarre because I do not like sour cream or onions,
So
and yet,
here's the same issue that I have with a lot of things is it depends on the mood that I'm in.
hmm,
Like we saw on TikTok this woman who kept this little note in her phone about what her girlfriend wanted at each restaurant. And I was like, why don't you do that for me? And he's like, because you don't want ever the same thing twice. And I'm like, oh, that's true. So sometimes I'm gonna reach for the flaming hot Cheetos. Sometimes I'm gonna want Funyuns. Sometimes I'm in a dill
oh my
pickle chip
god,
mood.
I'm gonna I'm gonna
Sometimes.
I'm gonna tell you this. And I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna tell you, I hate Funyuns.
Uh,
I hate Funyuns, and I've never had one.
why? Just the smell?
No, I hate them because when I was teaching intro to theater and my classroom was the auditorium, Funyuns were the chips I found on the floor the most.
Oh,
Those were the ones that the darling students of both my classes and the study halls just left everywhere.
Well, you know
Frickin'
what?
Funyuns.
It's wasn't me, so you can't buy me, and I will still eat Funyuns. So yeah, I don't think that I can say. I think barbecue's my least favorite.
Yeah, River, our youngest, likes the honey barbecue, and
Yeah,
I find them okay. Not
yeah,
great, but okay. I can get down with that on a certain if I'm in a certain mood.
yeah. The best kind of chip is one smashed in a bologna and tomato sandwich. So.
Y'all can't see the look on my face right now. I don't. It's. I gotta
Mhm.
remind myself it's radio, not television, and I'm just like, okay. That's
Uh-huh.
that, of the things I thought you were going to say. I did not think that.
Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna come back. We are gonna be talking about chips and corn chips, and flaming hot chips. When we come back, we're gonna be talking about flaming hot.
And
So,
that's not just what I call my girlfriend,
and
but it is.
we're back.
Hello.
So I've got to say that so far the movies of 2023 that I have found to be the most entertaining have taken me by surprise.
Oh yeah,
Um, and maybe it is because I'm a product of capitalism,
aren't we all?
aren't we all? But yeah, movies about how things got made are
Yeah,
just kind of killing it for
and and
2023.
kind of innocuous things that you wouldn't,
You're right.
you know, because this is how much of a cynic I am. You know, they come out with a new flavor of chip,
Yeah.
and I just assumed this was some, some board meeting, and somebody said, "Oh, hey, why don't we do this? Okay, do it and pack it, stamp it. Now you're gonna sell it. You're gonna sell it.
Yeah.
So I never like thought that somebody had to invent
A chip, a
flaming
flavor.
hot Doritos. That somebody had to have the idea for this, and that it was in any way a remarkable idea, or one that people were like, no one's ever going to eat those, kind of thing. You just kind of assume that everything that comes from a big corporation has been marketed and researched and focus grouped and all of this to death. So the idea that there's like one guy kind of behind it and it's an underdog story is not something I ever would have thought of.
Well, and when it comes down to it, we'll have to talk about that when it comes down to it. Is that there are a couple discrepancies that were probably embellished in the story, but
Oh yeah,
so what we are talking about is the movie Flamin' Hot, directed, I believe, and probably produced by Eva Longoria.
yep,
Um, it is on Hulu and I believe Disney
yep.
Plus.
Hulu and Disney. So
And it is the story about sorry, our cat just decided to knock some things off the table.
well, that one wasn't her fault. She didn't realize that the container she put her paw on wasn't actually solid.
Style. Yeah,
So
okay.
she just kind of, yeah, but that's not her just being a bitch looking for salmon. Anyway,
Anyways,
sorry.
at this time.
Yeah, this time.
So we have, okay, I totally lost track of where I am. Flamin' Hot! It's the story of how the Flamin' Hot Cheetos were kind of
Mhm.
created.
And how they were created by a gentleman by the name of Richard Mendoza.
No,
Mon-
Montañez.
Montañez, my apologies, who was a janitor at the.
Rancho Cucamonga Frito Lay factory.
Mhm.
So, but it kind of starts off his whole story. Like, really, it does start off with his childhood and how he got to be to the janitor place and kind of the struggles he had to be taken seriously, not having finished high school,
Mhm.
being the children of immigrant farm workers. Um, yeah, kind of,
How easy it is to kind of fall into criminal behavior and um, gang life and
right.
things like that, and the temptation that a lot of people in that situation have when they need money, when they have families, and and he's like you said, the world doesn't offer them the same opportunities as others, and so they don't feel like they have a choice in a lot of cases.
Hmm.
You know,
So it was, one of those movies you see the preview for and you go, oh, is this going to be just a commercial? Is this going to be an hour and a half long commercial for
like
Flamin'
Air,
Hot? Like
which I thought was a commercial the first time we saw a
hmm.
trailer for it.
But it really does go into Richard's story. And I honestly kind of feel like the love story between him and his wife, Julie, they meet
Hmm.
in elementary school and kind of look out for each other. And Yeah, it's just, there's a lot of really, really kind of touching moments here.
Yeah. Um, eh, I like the whole intro. Not only does it kind of introduce us to his family situation, but it gives us nice, clear indications of the way his mind works
Right.
and the way like he's not. This isn't a Goodwill Hunting thing where he's a secret genius,
No.
but he's intelligent. He's quick to learn. You
Uh,
know, the things that he doesn't know, he finds a way to know, or
right.
knows enough to get him to a certain point, and then he lets other people who
He asks
know. Yep.
questions.
Um, he's not a person who's afraid to ask for help
Right.
from people, and doesn't seem to have that whole thing of you do it all on your own. It's like no, when he wants to learn about the machinery at the factory, he talks to Dennis Hasbrit, and
Yep.
and wants to learn. When he doesn't know about marketing things, his wife and him teach themselves.
Right.
Kind of this whole point of the only boundaries that are there are the ones you accept.
Right.
You know.
So let's talk cast. So Richard himself is played by Jesse Garcia,
Hmm.
who I haven't really seen in much because I didn't watch The Mother.
Look,
Um, it looks like a lot of
a lot of small parts, journeyman actor. It looks
right,
like a lot of. I noticed that about a lot of the cast. It's a lot of one episode wonders and things like that.
right,
And I've said this before with films like this. When you have a situation like that and your film is fronted mainly by a lot of unknowns, you get one of two things. You get a bunch of people who think they're more talented than they are, or you get enough people who use it as an opportunity to show how good they are. And I think this movie is the second of those.
right,
Like this is a bunch of people who are obviously saying, we don't get these kind of juicy roles,
right.
so we're gonna make the absolute best of it.
So yeah, I'm sorry, Jesse Garcia plays Richard, and his wife Anna no,
And I got
Judy is played by Annie Gonzalez. Oh my goodness, boy, my brain just kind of went nuts there for a second. So yeah, kind of, um, not a whole lot of well-known parts that either of them got, but they really like just grabbed a hold of these and
mm,
went. And then a lot of our side characters are played by maybe more recognizable people.
yeah, so again, journeyman and
Hmm.
well-known character actors. I mentioned Dennis,
Bobby's. Oh yeah, Dennis Haysbert.
who most people will know as the Allstate
The
insurance guy, but for me, he was the first black president.
yeah,
So from
was that Air
from
Force One?
24,
24.
24,
That's
baby.
right.
I honestly think slight sidetrack. I don't think people give that show enough credit for kind of warming people up to the idea of a black president.
Okay.
I think Obama owes a little bit to Dennis Haysbert in that show.
All right. All right.
Just saying.
Okay. Well, I am
Not
a big President Obama fan,
so am
so
I.
uh
He's one of the coolest dudes on the planet. I would have voted him in as emperor for life if they would have let me.
anyways, Bobby Soto played his friend Tony Romero, who he's been in some more stuff like Narcos.
Hmm.
And then of course Emilio Rivera from the Mayans, as his dad Baucho, and then you've got some people like Tony Shalhoub.
One of the greatest character actors of his generation, in
Hmm.
my humble opinion, and maybe that's just because I believe he's Italian. He,
I actually think he's Middle Eastern, is he
I
not?
think you're right now that you mention it, but he plays. He's one of these guys who plays every nationality under the sun.
Yeah.
He's played everything, but man, Tony Shalhoub is freaking, Antonio on Wings, Monk. He's
Yes.
all over the place and just
Lebanese. He's Lebanese,
Lebanese.
so Middle
Yes.
Eastern. Yeah, he's played a little bit of everything. As
Yeah.
he plays the Jewish father on Miss Maisel.
Yeah, you're right.
Um, and then Matt Walsh, who is one of those bit comedy guys. Uh, oh gosh, I want to say Matt Walsh. Actually, if he's who I'm thinking of, I think he studied at the Groundlings with Amy Poehler, but I could be thinking of someone else. Um, oh, Upright Citizens Brigade. That's what it was. It
Mm,
was the Upright Citizens Brigade. Um, but yeah, Matt Walsh, he's been in a little bit of everything.
yeah.
And you just kind of like it when the guys like that just pop up into places. Um, so yeah, the cast was great. Oh, and you got to talk about the kids. Uh, the his sons, Steven, and I can't not remember what his other son's name was. I don't know if we were ever told what
I
his
don't think
other
they ever
son.
said. Now that you mention it.
Um, but his youngest son is played by an actor named Bryce Gonzalez, who is just the cutest little guy. Like he is just, I guess he's a TikTok star.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he is just the cutest little, like that is charisma right
Hmm.
there. That guy's got charisma.
And it's a part that runs that risk of veering too far into annoying kid territory. And
Yeah.
I don't think he ever steps over that line. I thought he was adorable
Oh,
and
he was
funny.
great.
You know.
Oh my gosh, I just loved him. He just like he's got this line about the Cheetos burning so good that just like just cracked me up. So yeah, it's got a really good cast.
Yeah.
Like there was never a part where you saw this and thought, "Oh, somebody else would have been better for this role."
No.
I think that it was cast perfectly, which I mean, good for Eva Longoria and her team for
Yeah.
really uh, kind of figuring that out. So, okay, so is this story really a true story? Likely embellished. It
Well.
it does seem as though they were already working on some kind of flaming hot thing when Richard came up with his idea, which they do talk about a little bit in the movie.
Mhm.
Um, but even if it is embellished, he was still a janitor who had a criminal history and no high school diploma, who ended up the head of multicultural marketing for Frito Lay and worked there for 40 years.
Well, I mean, you can't unless you're watching a documentary, and even then, like
Yeah.
you can't take any of these movies that say based on a true story as actual fact. There's gonna be stuff that's dramatized. There's gonna be stuff that's you have to squeeze life into a 3 act structure.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, I didn't think watching it like I would be surprised to learn that he gave that there were quite that many Henry Fifth type speeches, going on, in real life. But you accept that as part of the drama of the movie. Like you,
Right.
you need that.
Well, and I do think that his kind of guerrilla marketing and his inclusion and insistence and including the Hispanic and Latino population, um, as saying like this is a viable market that you should be marketing to. I do think that was part of his brilliance, and that's
Hmm.
why he rose like he did.
Yep.
And from all accounts, it seems as though he stayed a good guy who stayed looking out for the little guy.
Yep.
So,
Which is um. So on the whole, let's talk directorially.
okay.
Eva Longoria, who has a decent kind of track record of films and under her belt. Um, a journeywoman film and TV director. She's done a couple episodes of Blackish and Jane the Virgin and things of that nature. Um, so, what did you think of the directing of the film and
I
the?
think it made a couple of like really good choices that I liked. I think there's a couple of places where he's describing the board members' discussions, but he's putting them in his own words that make it really entertaining. There's a couple of places where she's indicating time is passing in the factory with all of these boxes moving and the years being in different places that I thought was really visually interesting.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I thought like as far this is much more your zone, but directorially, I thought that it came off really well.
No, I agree with that. I think she did, like you said, a lot with a very simple story. This is a film that would have been very easy to kind of do, very indie and very, set up the camera and shoot.
Yeah.
Not worry about fantastic camera angles or visual tricks or anything like that. But I think she did she made the most of it. Like I really like the passage of time
Hmm.
title cards. I thought I liked the stuff with the board. It did give me some Michael Pena Ant Man
Oh yeah.
flashbacks. So I don't know if that's a cultural thing or
uh,
whatever. But like there's this fun section at the very beginning where he's talking during his flashback where he's talking about him going and trying to buy candy,
oh yeah.
and the storekeeper and the cop are like, who'd you steal this from? I was like, this is how I'd like to tell you it went down. It goes all black and white, and it's very Andy Griffith show. Leave it to Beaver. Golly, I'm just a kid trying to impress a girl. Well, you go get her, you little scamp. And like, yeah, but I'm not white,
Yeah.
so this is what actually happened.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So I think she found the places to do fun things and to tell a visually interesting story where I think it would have been very easy to just go point and shoot.
I also think that she was able to make a couple of points like that about race, about why it was harder for some people than others, with it still being digestible for people who find things like that hard to
Yeah,
digest.
it's going to be real easy for a lot of folks to write this movie off as being too woke, you know, um, and get over it. If you
Yeah.
can't accept the fact that other people had it worse than you based on their economic standing or the color of their skin, that is a factual
I know.
point. If you can't get over that, then that's your issue and you're the fucking problem.
You
You know,
know, I always think like, why would you not want to be woke? Because the other option is to be asleep.
yeah. And we
Like,
do like sleep.
I know, but I don't want to be socially asleep, you know? Like, I just don't think it's the insult that people think it is.
Yeah. But
Anyways,
but yeah, I will agree with that. I mean, and we have to be honest. This movie is about the Hispanic culture.
it is.
It is about the Latino people. It is about, the whole thing is him trying to get his culture and the things that he grew up with and use those to his advantage instead of seeing them as a weakness.
Right.
That's his character arc.
Yeah, trying to see
Yeah,
his culture as a superpower.
yeah. and
Um,
and not as a hindrance.
so, but overall, this was another movie that I sat there and went, as soon like when it was over, I thought this was so good.
Yeah,
Like, why was
it,
this movie about Cheetos so good?
I don't think it was as engaging as Air.
Okay.
Um, I just I think like the script for Air was a little tighter and the direction a little bit more skilled.
Well, I
But
think that it
I
was well, first of all, I mean, you've got Ben Affleck versus Eva Longoria here as directors. There is a difference there, but also that was a drama, and this was a
yes,
comedy.
but I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying of the two kind of movies about a product
Yeah.
that we've seen. I do think that Air is a bit more engaging, but I was pleasantly surprised with how entertaining and welcoming and enjoyable this film was.
Now, here's the question. I sat there and I watched the hot Cheetos come off the rack and thought, man, I wish I could have some hot Cheetos. Are you tempted to try a hot Cheeto?
No, I am just there's a constant point of contention in the house, just because I am not one for hot, spicy.
No,
You know,
we always make a mom version and a Brandon version.
yeah, yeah,
Although we do make this really good chicken crusted with Cheetos.
yeah, that was
We
good.
just make a batch that is
Yeah.
crusted with regular Cheetos
But
and a batch crusted
but
with
don't act
Flamin'
like that's
Hot.
just me. That's not just me.
Okay, River likes them too.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not the only one. You and
Uh,
Violet like the Thai food and
yeah, the
the
spicy.
I've just never liked food that it hurts to eat.
Oh, but it
Yeah.
burns so good.
That I mean, at least in most cases, I do like some mild buffalo wings every so often. But
It
I
burns so
yeah, but
good.
yeah, so yeah, I think it was an enjoyable picture, and I think one that folks, with it being on Hulu and Disney Plus, I don't think it's gotten as much attention as other films.
This is very enjoyable.
Yeah, so I do recommend seeking it out. I think it's not a waste of time.
Nope. And it's good. It's I think entertaining enough that your family
Yeah,
would enjoy it
yeah,
with you.
it's a family picture. I think.
So
I'll say uh, I'll say this. Um, it is a little formulaic. If you've seen one underdog, you know, coming from nowhere to prove to the world their self worth movie, you've kind of seen this one. It follows a lot of the same character beats and a lot of the, like I mentioned, like the Henry V type speeches. We're together and let's get together. But as I've often said, formulaic is not bad.
no.
It's what you do with the formula, much like this movie.
Yes.
It's what you do with the formula for spicy, hot Fritos or Cheetos that makes the difference. And I think using the template, they did something really fun with it. So, yes, formulaic, but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So,
So all right. Overall,
um, I think I give this one a B plus.
a B
A B
plus.
plus. Yeah, I think it's a good film.
I'm giving it a solid A.
All right.
Like I think it's entertaining. I think it's visually interesting, and I want to go eat some hot Cheetos.
All right, then. Well, let's go get you some hot Cheetos, baby. All right. So, there you have it. So, yeah, go check this one out. Next time, we're gonna stick with food, and we're going to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh gosh.
So, join us when we take a look at the Super Mario Brothers movie. So yeah. So in the meantime, thank you for joining us. Thanks for coming along. Thank you, my love. You're flaming hot.
Oh hush.
No. And as always, drive safe, and we will see you at the movies.
Wait, if I'm flaming hot and you don't like hot things.
Oh, you